Hamatakwape, Miama Lakota, Miama Wea, Wimani Junta Hanwakan, Tiospaye Mato. I'm Jeff Harrell, and we're live from Augie's Locker Room today, and this is a special podcast for me. Today we're going to be discussing Knute Rockne and his affection for the Native American. And I'm going to allow my special guest, my friend, my spiritual mentor, introduce himself into his native language first, and then I will explain to you what I just said in Lakota, in my bloodline, and after he introduces him to you.
Which is this
a gift of Sema, of tobacco? Sema. Tobacco is the traditional Native American gift to each other. It's the most sacred.
What are we asking for?
The sacred tobacco when we're asking for
A gifter?
a gifter. Exactly.
I just want to say that normally we stand, but because of the camera angle and so forth, we're going to sit this one out. Miigwech. I accept. So I'm going to introduce myself, and I'm going to say some words in Potawatomi, which is Potawatomi, and then explain what I said. So, Bosho, and Dinwe Magdanuk, Nuij Nishnabe, Minishna Jayak Bemadzet, Kookooish Minikich Noden, Indishnikas, Roger Williams, Gage Indishnikas. Odawa, Ojibwe, Gigabe, Potawatomi Nishna Bendao, Pokagon Band Ejibendagwis, Mashike O Totem, Wakazu Odan and Dojbia, Dobiagyak Indada O Dopi. So what I've said to you in Potawatomi is the first part there is hello all my relatives and all you fellow Indians and other human beings. I say that instead of saying Chimokman, but Chimokman means big knife, and it's a word that we used for the colonists in days gone by. Also, I indicated to you that I'm Chippewa, Odawa, Kickapoo, and Potawatomi in my bloodline, my heritage, and that I belong to the Pokagon Band of Potawatomi, and they're located in Dowagiac, Michigan. And I also told you that I am a Turtle Clan, that I was born in Waukazu, which is Holland, Michigan, but it used to be Waukazu's village, and that now I live in Dobiagak is Dowagiac, Michigan. My name, I indicated my name was Kookooish Minikichinodin, and that's my Indian name. My grandmother gave me that name when I was born. As I understand it, my mother had me in her hands, and I was had a lot of that creamy stuff on me when I was born, and I think her intention was to have my grandmother clean me up. So she handed me over to my grandmother, and my grandmother had me in her arms, and she said, "Oh, he looks like a little Kookooish." And my father was sitting over in the corner, so I've been known as Kookooish all my life now. Now that means little fat pig. Yeah, that's okay. I know, and believe me, when I introduce myself at presentations and so forth, I don't have to have an anecdote. I just need to introduce and explain what my name means. I've done that with judges and senators and so forth and governors, and got a great laugh, each time. And so I feel real good about that. Name Kichinoden is my spirit name, it means great west wind. So thank you very much for listening to me.
What I said in Lakota was, hello, my relatives. I am Lakota, Wea. My family is Wea. And my extended family, my Tio Spaye, is the Bear Clan. That's the same language, or actually, Kookooish's language, what he just spoke to you, is the same language that Knute Rockne might have heard during the 1893 Chicago World's Fair when he was 5 years old and he was separated from his parents during the fair and, in layman's terms, got lost. And they took him in. There was a booth of, we're not sure of the tribe. There was several tribes represented at the World's Fair. The Penobscot tribe was one of them.
Iroquois.
The Iroquois tribe was one.
Ours, Potawatomi.
The Potawatomi was one. And in fact, Simon Pokagon spoke.
Was keynote speaker.
Was a keynote speaker. Simon Pokagon himself was a
keynote speaker at the World's Fair.
At the World's Fair.
1893.
In 1893. And when
Alaskans too, by the way. There were
and the Inuit, the Eskimo, and
so he was a lost child.
He was a lost child,
and
among millions of people.
And the as I understand it now, if I can add on to it, as I understand it, there was a like a temporary village. They called it a reservation, but I think in terms of village, a temporary village put up by the native people. I'm going to say could have been us, because we do that when we're setting up powwows and so forth. Even now the concept is circular and has a village kind of concept to it. So it could have been us, but could have been the Iroquois too. They also are that communal person that they will take in folks. And frankly, I didn't say this to you before, but if he hadn't been found, we adopted people into our tribe back in the day. He could have this little blonde-haired boy could have been an adopted Potawatomi, and would the world have changed? Maybe.
Notre Dame football would have.
Maybe. The forward pass might have been a golden arrow. But I'm just saying that could have been us that found him, because he was the description was that he was playing around with our children, black-haired children, running around, and he had a
war bonnet.
Maybe not a big one, but enough to where his hair could be seen, because the police that was happening by when he was playing with these children saw this blonde-haired boy with all these black-haired children and wondered why. Right? So, of course, the completion is that they were able to rejoin Knute with his family from that moment on. So that's the story as I understood it. Is that fair?
That's fair. That's accurate, and it's in the book. My book, Rockne of Ages, and he describes Knute Rockne himself in his Rockne on Rockne, describes that situation when he was 5, and he describes how afraid he was up until he was getting into this village, and then he suddenly made friends.
Yeah.
And he was having a good time, and then here come the police with his parents, and they reunited, and his parents were glad to see him, of course. I mean, they were probably scared to death, too, that they lost their child. But the way he wrote it, that he had such an affection for
us,
for our people, and after that carried on with him, which was throughout his life. And
think about it, that there is an imprint process going on with those younger folks, that we now know about,
Yes. Yeah.
and that may have affected him the entire rest of his life.
The interesting part was, and from what I was reading about the World's Fair, the organizers had brought the Native American groups, the tribes in, as a message of an overall message to the world of America's conquest of the Native Americans. But as it turned out, it kind of came out as the opposite, because the Native American, the tribes, and particularly Simon Pokagon's to speak, they took it under their own. They took matters into their own hands and said, "We're very welcoming people, you know, and we welcome the world in here. We're not conquered. We are welcoming you into our land." Right. And that was the message that went out of that World's Fair. And Knute Rockne seemed to embody that in his writings that, you know, that I picked up on in the book, and that he carried with him up until all the way through until he went up against a guy on the football field when he was playing, the greatest football player he ever saw, in what he said, Jim Thorpe. And that's going to be our next segment. So thank you so much. We really hope you enjoyed this segment. Like I said, this is a special segment to me. I want to thank my friend, my inspiration, Kookooish. And we're live from Augie's Locker Room, augieslockerroom.com, spiritofknute.com. You can order the books at spiritofknute.com. You can buy them at augieslockerroom.com. Bomapi.
Oh, miigwech.
Irish fans, Augie here. Just two of the items that you can purchase here at Augie's Locker Room or on Amazon, but two of the greatest books ever written about Notre Dame, including the life of a man whose life ended tragically. But the whole story is told in these books. As God's Witness is a version of the Rockne's plane crash and the connection to the mob in Chicago. In Rockne of Ages, you're going to get full pages of beautiful photos, but these two books are probably the two best-selling books we've got on the website. So go to augieslockerroom.com. You got to pick up one of these books. These are amazing pieces, great gifts. augieslockerroom.com, Rockne of Ages, and As God's Witness.
Thank you so much. We really hope you enjoyed this segment. Like I said, this is a special segment to me. I want to thank my friend, my inspiration, Kookooish. And we're live from Augie's Locker Room, augieslockerroom.com, spiritofknute.com. You can order the books at spiritofknute.com. You can buy them at augieslockerroom.com. Bomapi.
Oh, miigwech.